Do you always hear about the latest and greatest products, but do you ever think about how your hair professionals are trained in keeping abreast of all the products, tools, and equipment? Or maybe you're wondering why it should even be important for you to have a stylist who's knowledgeable in the first place. And not only can they provide personalized information, but they can also let you know what's going on with real data that is backed by science. If you've been following me, you know that it is my mission to elevate the hair care industry. And I have joined forces with hair professionals who have the insight to know it takes more than just having a license in cosmetology or a standardized training to have to properly serve your clientele or their clientele. So it is time to have a discussion about the importance of journeys that professionals take so that they can properly serve their clientele. And that is why I will have the Voices of Trichology with me today. My name is Dr. Crystal Porter, and I'm a hair scientist and owner of Main Insights, a company that conducts research and focuses on the hair needs of people of African descent. This platform is designed to elevate the Black hair care industry and empower consumers and hair professionals with education that is driven by scientific research. Thank you for joining the chat. Now, before I bring the Voices of Trichology on with me today, I'd like to know who is out there this morning and put your name in the chat and let me know where you're watching from. Also, I'd love to know if you are a practitioner, put the number one. If you are a consumer, put the number two. And if you are a researcher or scientist like myself, put the number three. Also, do not hesitate to like and share this broadcast. Now, if you are frustrated with the lack of information available to you when it comes to caring for your hair, or you've wasted a lot of time, money, and resources trying to figure things out on your own, you're not alone. But that is why we have created the Our Black Hair Matters movement, and you are definitely in the right place. Now, if you haven't checked it out already, I have some useful resources in what I'm calling my hair assets page. And you can find documents on finding the right stylist, learning about the biggest mistakes that curlies make. And I also have hair themed children's books now because there are a lot of people who are always looking to introduce their children to just different case scenarios when it comes to care, not only caring for your hair, but just kind of finding out how other people navigate the hair space. So I do have that also on my hair resources page. And the other thing that I have that I came up with at the end of last year was a template for people to write letters to companies who don't have a lot of data to back up the claims. So, of course, it's my mission to make sure we elevate the industry in that capacity. But if you need some, head start or some ideas on how to draft it so that you can help with that movement, then I have that there too. And you can go to links.maininsights.com for that. And you'll see that pop up at the bottom of the screen momentarily. All right. Now, for those of you who are just joining, Happy New Year and welcome to the Our Black Hair Matters Lunchtime Chat. I am Dr. Crystal Porter, and it is the first Monday of the month where I welcome the Voices of Trichology to discuss topics that are from the viewpoint of the hair practitioner. And today we will be talking about their professional evolutionary journeys and how their education and professional experiences impact the way that they vet products, how they decide on hairstyling preferences, and how treatment regimens will help or hinder their clients when serving those who have hair and scalp issues. So I am going to bring them on. All right. Welcome, ladies.
Thank
Hey.
you. Hey.
Yeah. So I want to start off by giving some background information about each
Hi.
of the voices of trichology. And so we are going to start in order. We have Dana Wilson, who is the CEO and director of Hair Cares Inc. She is a certified trichologist, sister locks educator and consultant, city certified research assistant, certified co-capper, veteran, and mother of a son on the autism spectrum. She has been a hair advocate for over 22 years, and she has a passion for uniting. Oh, it united the moment that she started her very own Sister Locks journey in the year 2000. She specializes in supporting people who may suffer from hair loss and scalp disorders. She also coaches other natural hair practitioners and locticians through hair regeneration and prevention. She operates through offering in-person and virtual trichology services, and she believes that every strand counts. Then you see Donisha Sullivan. She is a certified trichologist with over 18 years of service, providing hair loss prevention and restoration for men and women who suffer from alopecia. She is licensed in the states of Georgia and North Carolina as a master cosmetologist, and she currently owns the Hair and Scalp Treatment Center in Augusta, Georgia. She also provides non-surgical hair replacement services. And then we have Miss Marvelous Marvelette. She has over 30 years of experience backed by in-depth training, licensure, and certifications. She continued her education and training in the paramedical and science fields, becoming a trichology healthcare practitioner and biomedical research assistant. Welcome so much. Really appreciate having you here.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, so I wanted to take some time to talk about the evolution of the hair practitioner because I think it's so needed. And I think it's needed in every profession, right? Because the knowledge is out there. It keeps, I mean, it's growing and it's hard to keep up with everything. And I know that who you are or who as a professional, when you start off in the industry, you're not the same person that you are, 5 years or even 10 years later. And I want to talk to you because I think you'll be able to provide insight for those who are following in your footsteps and those who haven't even thought about how to get themselves prepared to properly serve. And so I want to start off with a very basic question for you because you get your license, and I know Dana, you actually have, training for natural hair, but you get that training, but then oftentimes professionals seek other ways to, arm themselves with the knowledge that they need to properly care for their clientele. So why isn't that enough? So can you just kind of let us know why what you started doing just isn't enough?
Well, I'll start by saying it's not enough because things are ever changing, right? Like just like technology is ever changing. You got different products that's out there, health advances, all these different advances in the science uh, industry. Um, you have to continue to educate yourself because there's new things every single day, and it's the same way with hair. Same thing.
Yeah, it often amazes me how every time I look up, there is a some type of consumer doing something new
Yes.
that I would not have ever thought in a million years that someone would be doing to themselves. So yeah, it's hard to keep abreast of even what they're doing
Right.
and how it can, inadvertently lead to problems, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Any other insight into, why it's not enough?
Dana pretty much sums it up. It is new things are coming out all the time, and actually new issues. When you see the clients, you see things you never saw before, or if they're experiencing something different from previous clients, or you making different connections. Like I noticed this in a pattern: 3 or 4 people who had the same things going on in their body, who had the same outcome in their hair. So things are constantly changing. People are changing, and new, I don't know if you want to say ailments or discomforts are surfacing.
Mm,
Mm,
okay.
that's true.
Yeah.
That's
So I'm not sure if Donisha will be able to provide some insights, but we'll come back to her.
true.
So, what type of education did you get that maybe some things you learned and then you started changing based on experience? Are there things in education? I want to focus on education for now because I think that that's where everyone starts off. So, let's talk about that.
So for myself, I went to the National Trichology Training Institute in Georgia. And just on a basic level, I really did not even consider that each follicle on our head had a blood source to it. I mean, something just as basic as that. And so that, for me and personally, changed the game because I had to look at my hair and scalp differently. Um, and it wasn't just this thing that's hanging down; it actually have a life source to it. And so I had to think about what I'm putting in my body will then impact my blood, and therefore will impact my hair. So that on a basic level was just life changer for me. And then professionally, obviously, I can share that with my clients.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
So, you learned that, but is there anything? So, let me ask you this: did you do something different before knowing that? So I want to talk a little bit more about the evolution of how that knowledge transformed how you do things now.
Yeah, so I didn't respect the hair. I mean, I honestly, it's just basic is I didn't respect it. I
Mhm.
mean, it was just this thing that's hanging out of my body. I mean, obviously I adorned it. I wanted to look cute and all of that, but I didn't respect what actually sourced it, right? So then I had to then think about what I was putting in my body that would then impact it. Or,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, um, yeah, that was the main thing. And that was huge. That was a huge mind shift. That alone, knowing that each follicle on our head has a blood source, therefore, I have some part to play on what's happening with my hair.
So this is a personal evolution, not necessarily how you served others.
Hmm.
But you know what? I think having some background into why you put yourself first because you actually got into hair loss or serving people with hair loss because of your personalized journey. I think it's good for
Absolutely.
people to know that.
Absolutely. Hmm.
Okay.
I mean, over the years, I observed my clients that were losing hair.
Hmm.
And I couldn't put my finger on it because at the time, based off my knowledge at the time, I thought we were doing everything we needed to do to maintain beautiful hair and healthy hair. But I did not account for that internal piece in a major way.
Mm.
Hmm.
And how about you, Marvelette?
So I too went to NTTI. Um, what made me, I've always been interested, but what I learned, because when I worked in previous salons before I got my own, I would always get the clients that nobody else wanted who had problem hair or hair loss issues. And as it turned out, I was correcting it or helping them along, and I don't even know what I was doing. I didn't have a particular thing I was doing. So that made me more curious as to the process of hair falling out and the process in which hair grows. So I learned, once I learned that process a little more in depth, I could further come up with an actual plan to help people and understand what it is that I'm doing and why it's working or why it's not working.
Mm. Okay. All right. Now, I know you have mentioned in your education how you learned about the importance of stress. So, can you talk about that a little bit in terms of what you can tell your clients from knowledge about stress? So, first of all, let us know if you even learned it in your basic foundational knowledge while you were in school to do what you do as a profession. And then let me know how you changed as a result of that, because I know that that's something that you've mentioned in the past.
Okay, so you got to remember it's been like 33, 34 years since I've been out of cosmetology school. So I can't really say exactly. They may have touched on it, but what I do know for cosmetologists, that's the first thing they say. Most say, you just stressed out. That's why your hair's coming out. And that's not always the case. But you can ask if there have been any major changes in your life the past 3 months. What's going on in your life? Are you on any medication? It's certain questions you ask, and then you can kind of narrow it down to know that it is probably stress, and then the type of hair loss that they're experiencing could be contributed to stress. So it's like the questions you ask, what's going on in their life, their lifestyle, and then you go to different things that can fix it. Because normally, stress-related hair loss will repair itself in like 3 to 6 months or so. But there are things you can do to help it along, especially exercise and relieving stress and meditation. It's so many different things you can do to alleviate the stress and to hopefully help your hair, the regrowing process along faster.
So you talked about asking questions. Is this something that you learned when you said it was a while ago, but do you remember that being like a staple, you having a set number of questions that you asked, so that wasn't a part of it?
No, I've got that more so in my trichology training.
Okay.
The type of questions to ask, even the signs, the telltale signs, to narrow down the ailment, to figure out what's going on. So that was definitely an extended training through trichology.
Okay. All right. How about it? And same for you, Dana?
So in my lock practice, I've always been accustomed to doing a consultation, a long, thorough consultation, because you got to ask questions about, lifestyle, or just explaining about the hair management system in which they're even considering to embark on. But for trichology, this was more intimate kind of conversation that you're having with people, because you're asking about their medical history, you're asking about their lifestyle, you're asking about their input and output. You're asking about medications, and it's very, very, very personal. So it is a longer, more in-depth conversation to try to get to the root cause of the hair loss or issue.
So I'm glad you talked about intimacy, and you talked about more, personal information and health information. And that scares me, because I think the type of questions that you ask when you are styling someone's hair isn't as sensitive.
Right.
And a lot of people want that protected. So what have you done, to make sure that you are protecting people's privacy? Because personally, I wouldn't want to, so it's one thing to tell someone, but then if it's documented, excuse me, which oftentimes it is, that would make me pause as a client. So what precautions do you take?
Making sure that you're HIPAA compliant. Make sure that you're storing their information properly. That you have some security checks on how you're storing their information. That is not just out for anybody to see. I mean, even someone that may be working in your particular clinic or salon space as well. So it's how you store it, is how long you store it, all of those things.
Okay. And I'd like to say hello to people who have joined. I wasn't on that page, but then I see people are here, but I want to acknowledge. Hi, how are you doing, Ronak? Thank you. Happy New Year to you too. Alyssa, I see PhD behind your name. So congrats on completing your degree. I think that's awesome. Last year when we met, you were still in pursuit. So that's awesome. And then we have, Kwesi. Oh, so great, from South Africa. Really nice to have you here. You said you love the ethos, and every strand counts. That's awesome. Yeah, thanks for joining. All right. So Marvelette, we were talking about the HIPAA compliancy. Are there things that you have changed in your practice as well?
Yes, definitely. I am HIPAA compliant. The way that I send information, or the way that I communicate with the clients when I'm dealing with sensitive information has changed tremendously. The way things are secured, how I translate information to them, and even again, how you store it, and then having people in your space who work with you. They have to sign forms too, to go down that checklist to make sure they're keeping everything private.
Right.
Now, see, these are conversations that I don't think anyone would even think to have
Mhm.
with their practitioner, or at least, as I said, I would have pause if someone was starting to jot some stuff down or take notes. I'd be like, wait a minute. What I say and what you hear is totally different than what you're documenting. I don't know if I would want that out there. So it's great that there's education out there for you to take the precautions to keep people's information safe, because I think that's extremely important, especially in this day and age, because in order to be HIPAA compliant, you have to have a platform that's encrypted. I mean, so it's different if you're doing electronic communication, or even if you are still doing paperwork, there is a procedure for you to do that. You want to talk a little bit about that so people can like have an eye out for that? I would want to know personally. So if it's not electronic, how do you secure people's information?
In a locked cabinet, a locked file cabinet. Personally, mine is in a room. It's in my office, away from where there's traffic. There's no traffic in my office, and it's in a secure file cabinet, which stays locked.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another way. It's important to do one client at a time, especially when you're dealing with trichology, because everything is so personal. And I don't care how many rooms you got. Sometimes walls are thin. I have 3 rooms, but the wall's not that thick. So I try to ask them not to bring anybody with them, even if they're waiting in the waiting area, unless it's something that can't be controlled or you have to sign a waiver, because I can't control what they may hear, but I prefer that you don't bring anybody. It's just one-on-one. That way you're more comfortable, you're more open, and you're going to be more honest.
Right.
That's different. That really is different, because I'm used to, when I used to go to a salon, be at least 12 of us in there, meaning, the stylist and me, and then their clients as well. So, wow.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's already not only the information that is sensitive, but the actual sharing or exposing what's going on with the hair. It's also, you got that sensitivity level where you may want that client to come by themselves so that they can fully be able to share and expose what's going on with them.
Okay. Now, how about the experiences that you've had, and how you've maybe evolved with the different experiences you've had? I know that when I teach, there are a lot of questions about, oh, well, should I share this information or should I not? And a lot of people will say, oh, well, based on this particular experience, I don't do that anymore because I had a bad result from it. So let's shift a little bit from education and go into experiences in terms of how you have evolved in something you used to do and now you no longer do it. Wait, I see you guys thinking.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I guess I'm not sure exactly what you're asking me. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Okay, so for example,
Mm-hmm.
when you had education in cosmetology or your loctician training,
Mm-hmm.
did they train you to use a scope? And
Oh,
then maybe some of your experiences in using the scope
yeah.
changed as a result of you implementing that. So I'm just
Yeah.
talking about that type of stuff.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Oh, absolutely. Using tools is has changed the game. Being able to use a scope to take a look at the scalp microscopically really is a great tool, because obviously you can see what's going on with the scalp, if they even have viable follicles at all. That's the major piece. Do we even need to go on with the personalized plan or not? That is a huge advancement to be able to share with the client. Mm-hmm.
Marvella?
So Dana said how to go on. If they should go on we should move forward with the personalized plan. Scoping and Scalp helps you create a personalized plan, because no 2 scalps are alike, and no 2 issues are alike. So using tools and the different scopes, I probably have like 7 scopes, but I have a favorite. And I use them for different things.
Yes.
But certain tools can let you know exactly what's going on to cut out the guesswork, so you can get straight to the root of the problem and start to work on it from there. scalp swab. It's so many tools that has made my life easier and taught me so many things about servicing my clients and how I can service them better.
You know what? I want to hit on tools a little bit when we talk about the research aspect of it, because I know you have education and then your experiences, but I want to talk about research as well. And tools really fall into that. So I don't want to dive into that right now. But what about you do consultations, but what I have heard is that the name of the game when it comes to success is like the follow-up, really getting, more detailed information from the follow-up, and not just the follow-up from what you've recommended, but also the follow-up to see, what they are doing to be actively involved in their improvement. And I know that that's a struggle. So let's talk about that, because one of the things I've heard is that the client wants change, but they don't want to change themselves. So what have you done to evolve them into that mindset change for them to have success?
So for me, I have my clients to keep a hair health journal. So every day they would write down the process of their hair, what they did, how much shed, collect hair for so long, depending if they have a shedding issue, and also what they ate, what supplements they took, and then how did you feel afterwards. So that will narrow down if you have a gluten issue. If you ate this and had gluten in it, then I started, my scalp was itching, or I had irritation. Or when I went to the gym and didn't shampoo, I went to the gym 5 days a week, didn't shampoo, in between time, then that happened. So it kind of rules out does the process of elimination, and then it makes you accountable, because sometimes we eat things or do things to our bodies and we don't realize the effect until you're actually looking at it in black and white. When you're looking at what you actually ate or what you did, you're like, wow, I really ate that, or I really did that. So it kind of makes you accountable and rethink the way you do things.
Okay.
And so for me, for my clients, initially when they first come in, I always tell them I believe in the 3 C's. That's the commitment, compliance, and consistency. And that's what's going to get them the results that they want, right? That I can make this personalized plan, but if they're not committed to it, we are already in trouble. And if they are committed, that they have to be consistent with that plan, and they have to comply with the plan. So obviously that will take for them to journal that and annotate what they're doing on a regular basis. And then always making sure to touch back with them to see if they're actually following through with what we discussed. Because like many things in life, we get off course. It just be that one thing where you went out of town and you're off schedule, and that will change, everything. So just making sure that the clients know those 3 C's: commitment, compliance, and consistency. And even if you're being compliant and consistent for a while, then we can see that maybe that's not the right plan for you. We might need to make some changes. But the only way to know that that's not going to work is that you have to do that all the time, so that we can see we're not getting the results that we initially anticipated.
And Jackie, thank you so much for joining. She says the trichoscopy. Wait, goodness, I can't even say the word. Trichoscopy also helps to eliminate the need for unnecessary biopsies when the clinical signs are obvious enough or detectable through trichoscopy. I don't know why I can't say that. Trichoscopy. Yeah, so that's the scoping that we're talking about, being able to see more in depth of what's going on. And, so I'm going to kind of leap into this right now. The type of way that you scope the hair can also provide additional information. So Marvelette, you and I work together, and there are insights that you can get from data that comes from the microscope. So can you talk a little bit about, what you can see and how that can help you?
So if you do the initial scope of the scalp to see where it is at the present state and how many hairs they have and what's viable, so the density of the hair and all, you can see all of those things. So you start them on a regimen or on a program, and let's say 3 months down the line, you would repeat the same process to see if there are additional hairs, how the hair has progressed. And that way they'll give you data to let you know how the product is working or if it's working.
Mm-hmm.
And also all products that do not have, and this is my disclaimer, this is my take, it's not vetted, does not have scientific data behind it. That's a way for you to collect your own data.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So you can vet products for yourself from your personal experience.
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely an advocate for that. I tell professionals all the time, in order for, well, from my perspective, what I can see in terms of the evolution of the industry, it really is to stop listening to the mumbo jumbo. There are great salesmen out there who are talking about how their product works wonders, or the treatments or tools and gadgets. And I'm always like, okay, where's the data? What are the statistics in your success rate? And a lot of times that throws people off because they're like, I got to show numbers. And so I have dismissed more people or salespeople than I've actually embraced or actually had wanted to, be drawn in a little bit to learn a little more, because they don't have the basic questions answered for me. So let's, talk a little bit more about, research in terms of what it is you can get. So we talked about the microscope, trichoscopy. Is there anything else that you can use? Any tools or any other ways you've evolved?
The swabbing technique, though, that is a slower process because it's very expensive to do, to send to the lab. So it's another way you can collect data or gather information for research. Hair samples. So there's a number of things, and even we talking about tools.
It can be tools. It can be whatever you want to do for research. I mean, like, we also, and I posted about this, we do nutritional assessments.
I was going to say that next.
Dietary assessment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a number that, which is a tool, because electronic, it kind of is a tool. So the dietary assessment, there are a number of things that I have added that makes a world of difference in the way you service your clients.
Yeah.
And then the overall success rate, because the more you know, the more in depth the treatment process is, the better the results, and the better plans you can put together for them based off of the information you get from all the tools you use.
And Dana?
I agree with what Marvelette said. I think she hit it. Really. These tools are here for us to, so you don't have to, write everything down. You can actually visually see some things, and some things you're going to write down and annotate and journalize. So, yeah.
So how do you decide what tools are legitimate, though? I mean, I'll talk a little bit at the end about how I feel they need to be vetted. But I'm looking at it from a research perspective, because there are so many things that people are doing. And so how do you decide what is effective? I know most get feedback from, peers out there and like, oh yeah, but I don't find, well, as a researcher, I can't just rely on what someone is saying is good. I have to get, more information. So how do you go through that screening process?
You spend a lot of money. Now, I'm gonna be honest. No, because obviously we do go out to our peers and we ask, well, what you using? Does it work, or things of that nature. But even still, if you take their word on it and you buy that device, you have to decide which one is best suited for you. Like Marvelette said, she has several scopes. I do too, and each one allows you to see different things. The software allows you to be able to assess different things. So it really, some of this stuff is trial and error, and investing money, and only to find out, okay, this works really good, or this is, I'm limited in a certain area. And then just being abreast of the new technology and advances with these different devices as well. So.
I'm gonna have to say your level of education along with trial and error, because that is a factor. Because if I get all my money back from all this stuff I got to get, man, But it is a lot of trial and error, but I'm going to say your level of education and also your connections.
Mhm.
Because the more knowledge you have about different things in your area of expertise, it depends on what that tool can give you, what kind of feedback you're getting, what kind of data you're collecting. And that'll let you know that it's a great tool. Because what benefits are you getting from the tool besides looking at something? If you're not educated enough to know what you're looking at, what good is the tool?
That's true.
So
Yeah.
if you're not comfortable enough to say, well, this is definitely this without a shadow of a doubt, then they have tools in place to kind of help you along, to help you understand things. So it just depends on your level of education, I think, and then your level of knowledge. And also your connections, because sometimes you can have the right connections who can help you out to help you understand things.
Yeah, no, that's true.
That
So
is.
Jackie raises a huge point, and I can tell from what she's contributing that she is definitely educating herself. But she says there's the trichoscope, that there is actual basic light microscope for looking at hair bulbs, for example, differentiating between, say, telogen effluvium and anagen effluvium. AI for trichoscopy, getting quantitative data instead of just visualizing and estimating. But yeah, that is exactly why we use the microscopes that we use, because they're able to use artificial intelligence to be able to use the big data and look a little bit more specifically at the pixels, and they can break that out. I mean, it's a whole science in looking at imaging. And so, Jackie, I agree with you 100% that there is a lot of things that we need to appreciate when it comes to technology, and practitioners need to stay abreast of that. There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it. Thank you for that contribution, Jackie. It's awesome.
So the obviously these tools are great, but asking the right questions really help you serve the client well. It might be that one thing, right? I mean, that one thing that the client is sharing that that impacts everything.
Yeah. And yes, we have met through there. So Jackie was saying that we met through the ITC platform. That is correct. But we also see each other with the Textile Research Institute forums that they have as well. So keeping yourself educated is key. And I'm always sharing with those who are in my network when I see something that would be beneficial. I make sure that they have means to join and try to even save them some money when it comes to registration. So absolutely. Thanks, Jackie. Really appreciate it. So I guess I knew who you were because you kind of know who I am based on seeing the names. Yeah. All right. Are there any other tools that you want to talk about in research when it comes to things that help you to evolve in serving your clientele better? That about wraps it up.
So unless you want to get into treatment tools, and I really don't want to really go that route right now. I don't want to highlight a particular tool or treatment plan.
I would say like food sensitivity tests and things of that nature is, I guess a tool or something that you can use to kind of do some process of elimination as well.
Okay.
Blood typing.
Yeah.
The blood typing. So I do a blood typing test. I do offer that service. But that can aid you in also treating your client, knowing their blood type and their how they're eating according to their blood type, or if they are. That's another thing you could do.
Now, so they are finally showcasing the data behind that. They're doing that more, but when I first heard about it, that's all I asked. I was like, okay, it sounds good. People are, shouting on the rooftops about how beneficial it is. I was like, but is there data behind this? And so now that's starting to come out, and I'm happy to know that. But at first, no one could tell me anything. But I have to say personally, as I am, I'll say, maturing, I am starting to see that my body doesn't respond the same as, being a spring chicken. And so even though I don't strictly adhere to eating for my blood type, I can say that some of the things that I should not be eating, or that they say I should not be eating, are aligned with some of the things that I've noticed that I'm starting to have problems with. So as we get older, our biological processes are not as effective or efficient. And so unfortunately, we pay the price. And so sometimes we have to change how we eat. And so I'm finding that eating for my blood type helps me more, even though I'm not strictly adhering to it. But yeah, I think more research needs to be done. So for practitioners who do believe in that, I encourage my research assistants to keep tab of that, because that's more data that we can compile and learn more about. So I think that that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And so Jackie also says, yes, the right questions. And then she's saying that blood tests for abnormalities, wide range deficiencies, insufficiencies, metabolic issues, thyroid problems, etc. Genetic testing such as fragrance. Yeah. So what's interesting about this, Jackie, is it almost seems as though trichologists need to kind of straddle different professions, which I have mixed feelings about it, because not to say that you can't be a jack of all trades, but at the same time, I think for me, I think when you tackle on other professions and expertise, that you could miss something. I mean, I believe in partnership. And so we talked extensively about, different people that you would potentially partner with. And we don't really have a lot of time to go into that, but that kind of straddles, that. So there are a lot of things that you should have top knowledge about. But in terms of providing detailed information about how they are to take care of their lifestyle, I think is good. I think you guys expressed earlier that you have become cheerleaders to help them out on their path. And so, and then you can refer them, for those of you who have good referral systems, you can refer them to a professional and just kind of be their cheerleader, because you know that it's affecting or can be effective during this process, especially when it comes to hair loss. But then you need to also make sure that, you're in your lane in terms of the amount of knowledge you have to address these specific issues.
Yeah, you definitely want to stay in your lane. That's for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Cool. And so Jackie says one other thing. I am going to put that up and then we can start to wrap it up. Let me see. No, we didn't say that. This is the one I wanted. So she says that medical history, current medical status, medications, all must be taken into consideration when assessing hair health. Yes, trichology is one of those needs, better regulation. Ooh, that's a whole nother lunchtime chat to talk about regulation. So people remain within their remit. Yeah, I understand that. Trying to solve that, it is something that needs to be addressed. So thank you. Really appreciate your contribution to this discussion. And Jackie, I know you are not here in the US. Can you in the chat let people know where you're located so people can know what resource they can have where you are? All right. So anything else you want to add, ladies, before I let people know how they can reach you?
I just want to back up a little. Oh,
that's okay.
Back up a little bit. When we were talking about the different scopes, and I just wanted to say before and after pictures are great, but numbers don't lie. So you can do the before and after pictures, which is great, a great addition. But to look at the data, the numbers, and the see the growth in the numbers of hair follicles that you've gotten from start of procedure to 3 to 4 months into it will give you a definite answer. So
okay. Thank you. And then Jackie said that she's in Amsterdam in the Netherlands. So
Okay.
yeah, and I knew you were over in Europe. I just didn't know whereabouts. So thank you for sharing that. Cool. All right. So Dana, can you let people know how to reach you?
Yes, absolutely. You can go to my website, which is www.haircaresinc.com, or you can also email me at info@haircaresinc.com.
Awesome. Awesome. And you, Marvelette?
You can you can email me at info@trichoscienceclinic.com, or you can go to my website at www.trichoscienceclinic.com, and you can also message me live in the chat box. So
Mhm, mhm. Okay, cool. Now, I want to wrap this up, and I would love if you could share why people should even care about hair practitioner evolution. I mean, so let's kind of wrap up what we've talked about.
Mhm.
So, can you share something that's like short and to the point?
times and technology is constantly changing. So as practitioners, we should stay abreast of what's going on so that we can better service the clients.
Hmm.
Mhm. And
Absolutely.
obviously, education is everything, right? Making sure that we are abreast of new information out there so that we can share with our clients.
Yeah,
Mhm.
agreed. And, I really do believe that clients deserve to know more about what's going on with their own bodies.
Right.
It is great to have a professional who is knowledgeable, but without having, I would say, advanced tools to be able to share with data, I think that that also, places you in a position where you are definitely the authority, but you also have a backup. You can say, hey, this is where I got this information from. And so you don't have to rely on, oh, I just got to say what everybody else is, regurgitating what everybody else is saying. You can actually take it from something that is sourced from, science. And that kind of leads me to, why I do what I do in terms of education, because I believe that when professionals are empowered with advancing their knowledge and they can work with other experts in the industry, I think that whole way of doing things elevates the industry. So I really think that that's needed. And one of the things that I pride myself on is making sure that the tools that I put in the hands of professionals are tools that are well respected in the scientific community, because I think that that's one of the biggest hurdles. A lot of practitioners are saying a lot, but then they don't have the foundation that has been vetted through the scientific process to actually be meaningful. And so there are so many gadgets out there that people are using, but it's not respected in the research realm. And so I make sure that anything that my trichologists use, or hair practitioners, it doesn't matter if you've had formal trichology training, but I want to make sure that you are armed with things that when you're talking about it, you don't have to fight with a scientist that's like, oh, that's, nonsense. You can say, no, it's been vetted and it's been in the literature and supported. So that's great. Awesome. All right. So thank you so much. Really appreciate you joining. I want to just share before we end that I will be having a free webinar about the importance of scientific research on hair. And so why hair practitioners should be armed. And that's this upcoming Sunday, January 8th at 2 p.m. my time, which is Central Standard Time, and 3 p.m. Eastern Time, and then noon Pacific Time. And then, as always, I'm always looking for practitioners who are using CBD-based products, um, and or I should say those who are looking to use it, because there are some things that actually have some data behind it that I would support someone using. I wouldn't feel uncomfortable with it. So even if you don't have your own, but you're interested, set up a time for me to chat or us to chat. So you can contact me on my hair assets page at links.maininsights.com. jackieford.com/info. All that information is there. And then finally, if you or someone who has natural hair and they want to cut it or you want to cut it, I'd love to have it for research purposes and you can get paid for it. So reach out. Information can be found in that same link. So thanks to those who participated. Thank you, Jackie, for the information that you shared. That was awesome. I know that there are some other things that are said. I want to make sure. Lots of gadgets, yes, especially for treatments. Must keep the same things within the cosmetic realm. Yeah, I agree, and not promote medical. Oh yeah, no, that's another thing. Another topic or discussion that we need to have. So thank you, Jackie, for that. All right, so if you need also help with finding a vetted hair practitioner, you can reach out. And always remember that our Black hair matters, and take care and love your hair. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.